All right, is this thing working? And am I live here? I'm not sure if I have this set up right because this is the first time I'm doing a Facebook Live. So if you could let me know when you hop on. Hey, Kay, perfect. So I've got it on now. Perfect. Well, it's 7:02. I don't know if I should wait a few minutes before getting started here or if I should just hop right in. Thanks, Kay. Good to have at least a feedback from one person here that I am being heard and seen. So I guess I'll start with an introduction. It is the Kay's Fireside Chat, and I've got my warm beverage here, just finished dinner. My name is Whitney Werner, and I am a certified holistic health coach. I'm a plant-powered coach, which means that I focus on plant-based eating and living with my clients and finding ways to incorporate more plants into their diet to help them to feel empowered with their health and well-being, and to do so in a delicious way that is healing for the body and good for the gut, and also hopefully enjoyable for your family too. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my story first, and then I'm also going to talk about some of the health benefits and the reasons that someone may make a decision to start to shift more toward a plant-based diet. Even if you're not going 100% plant-based, maybe making the shift slowly, gradually, or in some capacity may be a benefit for you. And so I'll talk a little about that and then give some tips also on how to start doing that. So this is super weird. I'm used to seeing myself in Zoom, and I think Zoom mirrors the image, but here it looks like I am backwards when I'm seeing myself on the screen, so that's kind of funny. But anyway, thank you all for joining. I appreciate that. I see a few people are saying hello. Thanks for being present tonight. So like I said, my name is Whitney Werner. I have a certified holistic health coaching degree from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I got started with health coaching about 10 years ago now, and I have my own little business called She Lives Fit, and have been doing that now for about 10 years. I got into health coaching when I experienced a weight loss transformation myself. So I was overweight, I was sluggish, I didn't feel good. I knew that I needed to start to take control of my health and wellness early on, and so decided that I was going to start being more mindful about my eating, start exercising, and in that journey, I lost about 40 pounds and then decided that one of the things that I loved doing was being able to motivate, teach, inspire, and coach other people to also follow in the footsteps of a healthy lifestyle, because it was so life-changing for me at an early age. So I went to school for health coaching and studied over 100 different dietary theories. One of the theories that was discussed early on in the coaching program was the plant-based diet, right? So there's several ways in which people identify plant-based. I'll kind of throw out a couple terms that you might have heard: vegetarian, flexitarian, even pescatarian, which means that you incorporate fish on a semi-routine basis. Flexitarian means you might eat anything that an omnivore would eat, but just occasional. Vegetarian, generally speaking, means that you include eggs and dairy into your diet on the regular basis, but no other animal meats or fishes. And then you've got vegan, which does not include any animal products at all, no eggs, dairy, including no fur, leather, animal byproducts even, in a very intentional way. So I started learning about these different dietary theories and realized that plant-based can kind of have an all-encompassing terminology where you can be plant-based primarily, and you can also find the other ways in which you might make some exceptions in your diet. So I was very intrigued by the plant-based living as a healthy way of finding balance in my life, after I had been doing calorie tracking and a lot of strict monitoring of my diet early on, and I knew that I wanted to move to more intuitive eating, and naturally it seemed that going more plant-based was a way to do that and stay in a healthy calorie zone. I also experimented a little with a more of a bodybuilding style diet at the time where I was doing very heavy animal protein. So lots of egg whites, lots of whey protein powders, lots of ground turkey and chicken breasts and ground beef and egg muffins and meatballs and all of those things. I was eating upwards of probably a pound of meat almost every day. I was feeling very, very tired, very constipated, very sluggish. And just honestly, I started to ask myself, do I need this? Do I really need this in order to thrive and to be healthy? Do I need to be consuming 150 plus grams of protein every single day? And do I need to have my grocery bill look like I just, was feeding a restaurant for just me and my husband? It was ridiculous. So I decided that I was going to move a shift into more of a vegetarian diet because I had been learning about it at the time. So I started vegetarian and then moved into gradually learning a little bit more about animal exploitation and the environmental effects of diet choices in the world, and found myself really compelled to go vegan. So I stayed vegan strictly for about 8 years, and then in the last couple years I have been remarried. I have a blended family now with lots of different dietary preferences, and found that re-identifying a little bit more as plant-based and plant-powered fit more what I was looking for in my life, focusing on health, tying it in with what's best for the world, what's best for my family, what is best for the animals, what's best for the environment. There were so many reasons for me to start incorporating, to focus on incorporating these plants as the focus of my diet, and to also lay up on some of the restriction that I had felt when I was trying to be strictly vegan. So going out to dinner was just a real bummer when you're vegan and trying to really stress about all of that. So I eat plant-based. I do not eat any animals at all. And I incorporate some small amounts of eggs and small amounts of dairy, very rarely though. So that's kind of a little about me. My son is 5 years old. I'm a mom, and I have 2 stepchildren as well that are 16 and 14, and they have different dietary preferences than me. So you might imagine that is a little bit more of a tricky thing to deal with, and I'll mention a little later some of my tips for how you can get around maybe blended family dietary preferences when you're going more plant-based. First of all, I wanted to talk a little about the health benefits of a whole foods plant-based diet. So the abbreviation for whole foods plant-based diet is WFPB. So you've probably seen that around in various forums if you're part of Kay's network here. Whole food plant-based essentially means that you focus on whole foods that are strictly plant-based. A lot of whole food plant-based dieters will be very, very strict on what's called an SOS diet of whole food plant-based, or a avoidance of salt, oils, and sugars. So an SOS whole food plant-based is probably the most extreme of the healthy version of a whole food plant-based diet, but it's very, very good. I try to go low oil personally because I have seen a great deal of research that supports restricting or limiting your consumption of oil, and cooked oils particularly, as being beneficial for your health. So a few of the things that I find in my research and in my work with clients benefit about the whole food plant-based diet. It is widely researched as with some of the most notorious and longest duration epidemiological studies to date. So there's a lot of long-lasting, decades-long studies that have shown the benefits of a whole food plant-based diet. Now, in nutrition science, there's a lot of debate over whether we can really claim causation when we come to conclusions via correlation. But when it comes to nutrition data, looking at vast populations of people over long periods of time with distinctive dietary differences is one of the most accurate ways to determine the effects of the diet and the changes between these populations. So a typical balance in a whole food plant-based diet, particularly one that is SOS, or salt, oil, and sugar free or reduced, is going to be somewhere in the 60 to 70% carbohydrate intake, with 20% from fats and 10% or so, 10 to 15 from protein. So that kind of fat and protein differential is a split depending on your preference. There are numerous benefits to incorporating a wide variety of carbohydrates in the diet, in spite of what The kind of fad diets will lead you to believe where, they really demonize carbohydrates. Obviously, in a whole food plant-based diet, our carbohydrate intake, that 60 to 70%, is very important, and it's coming from your real foods from the earth, your fruits, your vegetables, whole grains, beans, legumes, any kind of, nut, seed, those are considered plant-based. And I challenge you to kind of look at your diet right now and notice all of the things that you already consume that are naturally plant-based. Whenever I hear someone say that they could never go vegan, or oh, I could never do that, I can't give up my meat, I'm like, well, look at all the things that you already eat that are naturally plant-based. Do you like apples? Super, that's vegan. Do you like granola bars? Do you like pasta? Because gluten is vegan, believe it or not. It can even be whole food if you are incorporating whole wheat and various forms of gluten that are healthier for you. So, when it comes to carbohydrates, carbs aren't the enemy. We want to be, giving a nice diversity of gut flora through the prebiotic fibers that are coming from your carbohydrate intake, your fruits, your vegetables, your legumes, and beans. So, a few health benefits that have been widely documented as from reducing and eliminating the intake of meat and animal protein sources particularly. There's been a lot of evidence that shows that blood pressure and cholesterol are reduced when people shift to a more plant-based diet. So even going from having, let's say, an average of 8 to 10 servings of meat per week down to having, let's say, 4. So going from kind of what is a standard American level of consumption, where most people are having meat with both lunch and dinner, and simply going to have mostly meat-free meals for lunches, that can make a big impact in your blood pressure and your cholesterol if those are areas in which you struggle or you have a genetic predisposition toward. Other evidence out there points to the potential to eliminate type 2 diabetes or reduce the need for medication. So some people are on multiple kinds of medication for type 2 diabetes, including insulin or oral medications. And you really can't heal insulin resistance if what you're doing is strictly taking carbohydrates out of the diet. So there's some debate about, is it better to go low carb if you are type 2 diabetic, or to go plant-based, which would be actually high carb. And really, in the plant-based diet, it is about healing your body from the inside out. And so ideally what we want is our bodies to be able to produce insulin and receive it and utilize carbohydrates in a healthy way, rather than to simply kind of band-aid it by removing carbohydrates from the diet. So there's a lot of different research out there about that. Going plant-based also reduces your risk of heart disease. As I mentioned before, the blood pressure and cholesterol is a significant part of it. It will reduce your risk for coronary artery disease, coronary vascular disease, and stroke. Many people go plant-based because they wish to lose weight. That's a big factor. And plant-based diets have been shown unanimously across the board when compared to other control populations of even what's considered a moderate balanced diet compared to a strictly plant-based diet. A plant-based diet produces more body fat loss over the gradual period of time. Low-carb diets may produce faster weight loss on the scale, but most of that has to do with a quick water wash at the very beginning of the diet. So weight loss, reduction in your BMI, reduction in your waist circumference, those are all really positive things associated with a plant-based diet. Plant-based diets can reduce inflammation in the body. It can improve inflammatory issues such as arthritis, bowel issues, skin rash, gout, and fibromyalgia. So a lot of people are struggling with inflammation at a cellular level. And most of that is associated with more inflammatory foods that we're consuming. So essentially, if your food consistently is lighting fires in your body with this acidic response, your body's on constant damage patrol, where it's trying to put out these fires, and it's pulling minerals and vitamins from your bones, from your body, to neutralize the acidity in the things that you're putting in your body. So if you stick to more naturally anti-inflammatory foods with a higher pH that are good for your gut, you are naturally going to improve your immune system and continue to reduce some of those inflammatory issues. Kind of going off from the gut health, improved digestion and digestive flora and diversity are also associated with plant-based diet because you are not able to get fiber from animal foods. So all of your fiber is coming from plant-based foods. There's hundreds of kinds of fiber out there that are kind of lumped into two categories of soluble and insoluble fiber. Our body needs both, and we need them on a regular basis in order to nurture that healthy gut population. So as your gut microflora improves, you should notice a reduced symptoms from IBS, diverticulitis, chronic diarrhea, or chronic constipation, which most Americans are chronically constipated. There's also a lot of research out there that plant-based diets can help to reduce the growth of cancer cells, whether they're like genetic propensity of cancer or environmentally induced cancer cells. The cancer cells have less incidence of growth due to less of the hormone IGF-1, which is your growth hormone, which only comes from animal foods. So if you're constantly loading your body with this growth hormone through your diet, it can actually stimulate the growth of cancer cells that are pre-existing in the body. The other way that it helps to reduce the risk of cancer is with a lowered dietary consumption of carcinogens that are produced when cooking animal meats at high temperatures. These carcinogens are known as heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, and PHIP in particular of the HCAs. These carcinogens typically occur when grilling or smoking meats, and it's just very carcinogenic, and it can cause a stimulation of cancer growth in the body. So if you're not eating a lot of grilled and smoked meats, it can improve your overall risk. A daily increase in your energy has also been shown with an increase in your plant consumption due to a higher intake of nutrient-dense carbohydrates, like I mentioned before. You get improved cellular hydration due to a consistent variety of vitamins and minerals from your plant foods, and a reduced risk of osteoporosis when you do eliminate dairy consumption, which is counterintuitive to what we've learned. We think of dairy as a high source of calcium in the diet. However, even though that calcium is in dairy, it is not very easily absorbed in the body. That's because we get a very inflammatory response when we consume dairy. And so again, those fire hydrants, those anti-inflammatories in our body that have to go on the danger patrol, go to take this inflammation down. They actually pull calcium from your bones in order to neutralize the inflammation. Oh, and thank you, Kay, for sharing that. Yeah, make sure you make a comment or say hello on this post if you're watching tonight, if you haven't already, because Kay is going to be doing a really great giveaway with some of the amazing protein powder, which we'll talk about a couple other easy ideas to go plant-based here in a minute. So say hi in the comments if you haven't already. And then last but not least, plant-based diet has been shown to reduce hot flashes in menopause. So there has been a recent study, actually relatively recent, about consuming soy as part of a daily diet as a way to reduce hot flashes by up to 80%. So they took populations of women, a control group that did not do any changes with their diet, that were complaining of a lot of hot flashes. And then they did another group that were also having incidence of hot flashes of 5 to 8 times a day. And the only thing that they changed in the diet was that they added a half a cup of whole soybeans into the diet with this population of menopausal women. And what they saw was that there was an 80% reduced risk of hot flashes, which was kind of cool. So in not having to do any medication, not really changing anything else besides just adding whole soybeans into your diet. So I know this group is for 50 plus, so if that is something you're struggling with, it might be worth looking into in a little further detail. So okay, so that's enough information probably about the benefits here. So how do you start to make the shift? How do I make changes? What do I need to be doing if I want to go plant-based? Because it's not quite as easy as snapping your fingers, although I wish it was. Well, the good news is Arbonne is a plant-based company, right? So all of their products are are already plant-based. So you have that right at your disposal, at your fingertips here, if you're part of this community. There are so many wonderful options to kind of make it easier for you to make that shift, including the pea protein, the Feel Fit protein powders that Kay was mentioning are going to be tonight's giveaway. So the first thing that I would say, if you're going to be making the shift, I would say ask yourself why it's important for you to start eating more plants. What is that? What's your why? What's your for, right? What's your reason to want to make that shift? And what would that look like for you? Because everybody's coming to the table with a different normal. Whether you are already vegetarian, whether you eat mostly fish, or whether you're a burgers and steak kind of gal every single night. You know, everybody's got their own preferences right now. So whatever it looks like for you right now, if you are intrigued by this information, if you're thinking, this might be something I want to explore to help my health and to reduce my risk of disease and my need for medication, write out a list of the reasons why this is compelling to you so that you have your for, you have your why, you have your motivation in front of you. Also, make sure you talk with your physician. So if you're dealing with medical conditions that you have concerns about making dietary changes, talk to your physician. Talk to your medical professional out there and see if there's any changes that need to be done with your medications, especially once you get into the shift with the diet, because a lot of people will need to make revisions if it's something you're seriously going on board with. The next thing I'd say is to make sure you talk with your family. So don't try and play any kind of sneaky games with your husband thinking that he's not going to notice that it's a bean burger that you're subbing on his bun. Because if you aren't being upfront about your goals with your support system at home, it's going to come off the wrong way. And so if you say, you know what, husband, you know what, kids, this is my reason. I just found out I have high blood pressure. I just found out that my sister had a heart attack, and that really scares me because I'm only 2 years younger. You know, what is your why? What's your why? And talk with your family and see if they are willing to support you in this change and how they would be willing to support you, whether that means trying some new recipes, cooking with you in the kitchen, being willing to at least maybe make their own version of something if they're unpleased or displeased with what you are putting on the table. Have a conversation to get it started. And then, a simple shift like trying a meatless Monday, going one meal out of your week that you intentionally say, it's meatless Mondays, guys. So, what we're going to have is we're going to have fresh basil marinara and zucchini noodles, or we're going to do pasta. And, pick something that's a really like a naturally vegan or plant-based meal anyway that most people enjoy, and start there, because it's you got to start somewhere. Or maybe say on my work days, I don't eat meat with lunch. Make a simple goal that you're going to cut out an animal source from one or more meals in your day or in your week. Also, make a list of some of your favorite meals and foods that you enjoy right now and narrow it down to ones that are those naturally vegan ones, or have a simple swap for you. So something that's a really simple swap is your protein powder, right? If you're using a whey-based protein powder, try a plant-based protein powder in your smoothie in the morning. That's super easy. If you are a huge Taco Tuesday person, maybe you try a soy crumble as your protein source. If you want something that's going to be way easy, or you just drain a can of black beans and throw it in with some salsa and some cooked peppers and onions, and you've got yourself black bean tacos, which is the favorite around here, by the way. So it's very, very simple. Look for those simple swaps right away. Opt for, like I said, the plant-based swaps for your protein. So if you are normally a big salad person, you love salads, okay, well, what if instead of chicken on your salad, you put chickpeas? That's a pretty simple swap. There's a lot of evidence that simply increasing your consumption of beans by 1/2 cup a day can actually improve your health overall and improve your ability to lose weight. Be curious, keep learning. So if this is something that's kind of hitting a chord with you and you're curious about, look for resources that are going to help give you more reputable information. The PCRM is one of my favorites, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Look up books and cookbooks. Ask me, ask Kay. Explore the guides in the different groups that Kay has available to you, and look for more information. Get a new cookbook, read some blogs, look for a vegan version of your favorite recipe or something that sounds interesting, like a vegan enchilada. But if you are seeking out information, you're gonna go far. You are always going to run into some kind of information out there that is going to help you make this shift. And yes, you're right, Kay. There's a lot of us that are very programmed into thinking that we need meat and protein in order to be healthy, and that's just not the case. There's a lot of new evidence on the table that shows that diets that are highest in protein also are highest in waist circumference. So there's a lot of correlative data, again, over large populations that show that the more protein is a fixation in your diet and the less plants are a fixation in your diet, the more problems we are experiencing with obesity. And that's very evident in America, clearly, with 70% of Americans being overweight or obese. It's a real epidemic. Next, I'd say seek out forums online, like groups like this. I also run a group called the Sioux Falls Area Vegans and Vegetarians Connections. So we offer ideas for when you're dining out in Sioux Falls, or places where you can find plant-based swaps and foods at grocery stores and locally. So if you're in the Sioux Falls area, please join my group. Lots of great ideas. People are always sharing different things in that group. Look up new recipes, swaps for your standard animal foods. Try baked goods that don't require eggs. You know, there's lots of ways to make chocolate chip cookies with no eggs or no butter. There's lots of ways to make a really yummy muffin and to do these very simple things that will actually probably save you money as well as reduce your cholesterol, which is cool. When you're dining out, look for the menu online before you go out so you know what kinds of things you might be able to order. Or you might be able to look at the menu more as an ingredients list and say, well, it looks like they have black beans on this salad. Maybe I could have them put it on this salad. And look for those options in restaurants. And then lastly, make sure you just prioritize yourself. I mean, you deserve to be on the table as a priority, right? You deserve to take the time to really put the effort into taking care of yourself. Just like Kay has said in this whole series so far, make time to prioritize yourself and, you know, spend money on things that are going to help you improve your health now, so you don't need to spend the money later on your hospital and medical bills, because that's really what the trade-off is for most Americans. So invest in yourself. Try working with a health coach like myself who can help you set and accomplish your goals while helping you feel empowered and educated along the way. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with prioritizing yourself or for trying something new, even if you are 50, 60, 70 years old. It's never too late to make a change. So I offer plant-powered coaching. I'm here to help you step by step make those transitions with one-on-one coaching, lots of resources available. I am here as your resident plant-based expert. Like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years now. While that isn't, 30 plus, it's definitely enough time to have my wits about me in terms of how to navigate the situations here, particularly in Sioux Falls. So I would love to hear if anybody has additional questions or comments. Please comment if you have a question. I'm just kind of looking through all the comments here. Thank you, Kay, for participating. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Jan. Thanks, Deb. Everybody, I appreciate your time tonight. Yes, thanks, Kay. If you are interested in reaching out, learning more about health coaching, learning more about plant-based living, please contact me. You can just send me a message on Facebook if that's easiest. You can look up my website, shelivesfit.com. I also have a Facebook page called She Lives Fit, and would love to get in contact with you. So we can have a consultation, no obligation at all, just like a quick chat like this on the phone, and I would love to answer your questions. So, hey, Jan, started with the health coach. That's awesome. Good for you. So I hope this was beneficial. I hope it was interesting. I appreciate all of you being here tonight, and make sure, again, if you haven't commented that you were watching tonight, make sure you do. Even after the fact, and I think that Kay is going to enter you into a giveaway for that delicious coffee pea protein powder. So thanks for your time, guys.